You know how some days you look at the headlines and it just feels like total chaos? A crisis over here, a huge corporate move over there, some political drama somewhere else. It all seems completely random. But every once in a while, a single day comes along where all those disconnected threads, well, they actually weave together to tell one single, powerful story.
January 9th, 2026 was one of those days. It all started with this barrage of incredibly aggressive statements coming straight from the White House, just one after another. Now, any one of these would have been a huge story on its own. But when you put them all together, you realize something much, much bigger is going on. Let's walk through it.
And boom, the first shockwave hits. A direct U.S. military operation in Venezuela results in the capture of its leader, Nicolás Maduro. But listen to the justification. It's not about democracy. It's not about human rights. The president's own words make it crystal clear. This is about a domestic economic win. It's about getting cheaper energy. That single-minded focus really set the tone for the entire day.
Then, the focus snaps to our southern border. The president suggests that after going after drug traffickers at sea, the U.S. military is now getting ready to conduct strikes on land inside Mexico. Now think about that. This isn't just tough talk. It's a public announcement of a willingness to cross a sovereign border to get what you want.
And then, for the grand finale, we get this bombshell. The U.S. has been interested in acquiring Greenland for a while, but it just boiled over with this incredibly blunt statement. So you've got military action in Venezuela, the threat of strikes in Mexico, and a hard push for Greenland. What's the connection here? Are these just random aggressive power plays, or is there some kind of playbook at work?
Well, it turns out there is a playbook, and it's a really old one, like 200 years old. These moves aren't random at all. They're all part of a very old piece of American foreign policy that's being dusted off for the 21st century.
So for a quick refresher, the Monroe Doctrine goes all the way back to the 1820s. And at its heart, it was a really simple message from the United States to the old powers of Europe. It was basically, the Western Hemisphere, that's our backyard, you stay out. It was America's way of carving out its own sphere of influence.
And we don't even have to guess if this is the strategy. The administration came right out and said it. In a statement that same day, the White House confirmed it was, quote, reasserting and enforcing the Monroe Doctrine. This isn't just some minor policy shift, it's a full-throated declaration of intent to restore American dominance in the region.
And this is where that old doctrine connects right back to that first headline about Venezuela. See, Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves in the entire world. But look at this chart. Its production has absolutely cratered. So for an administration that's all about American preeminence and lower energy prices, that's not a crisis. That is a strategic opportunity just waiting to be seized.
But okay, this new assertive stance isn't just about Latin America. No, it stretches all the way up to the frozen north. Which brings us right back to that startling comment about Greenland.
So, why is Greenland suddenly at the center of this geopolitical firestorm? Well, it's because the Arctic is basically the new global chessboard. As the ice melts, brand new shipping routes are opening up. The island is packed with rare earth minerals that are absolutely essential for making all our high-tech gadgets. And maybe most importantly, it's a strategic front line in the growing rivalry the U.S. has with both China and Russia up there.
And this really gets to the heart of the conflict, doesn't it? For the U.S., controlling the Arctic is all about national security and keeping its rivals in check. But for China, it's about building a polar Silk Road for trade and getting its hands on all those valuable resources. You've got two global powers with totally conflicting goals, and Greenland is stuck right in the middle of it.
But hold on, because this story isn't just about foreign policy and what's happening out there. That exact same assertive attitude is being mirrored right here at home, with this huge new push that's blending private money and government power in a way we really haven't seen in decades.
On that very same chaotic day, one of Silicon Valley's most powerful venture capital firms, Andreessen Horowitz, announced a massive new fund, $15 billion. And a big chunk of that money is specifically for what they call American dynamism. It's this whole philosophy of investing in companies that are critical to the national interest. Think defense, aerospace, advanced manufacturing.
And this quote from co-founder Ben Horowitz just lays it all out there. The game has changed. It's not just about finding the next cool app anymore. It's about explicitly tying private investment to the national interest. The argument is that America's very survival on the world stage depends on it winning the tech race.
But private money is only one side of the coin. On that same day, we got a clear look at the government's side of the equation. News broke that the U.S. government's direct investment in the chipmaker Intel, a strategic move to protect our supply chains,
was now worth almost $20 billion.
So you see the pattern here, right? You've got the most elite private capital in the world pouring into defense tech, and at the same time, the federal government is taking a direct ownership stake in critical industries like semiconductors. Put it together, and it's a massive, coordinated effort to reindustrialize America for this new era of global competition.
So, when the government and big money start moving in lockstep like this, what happens? How does the rest of the industry react? Well, the ripple effect is immediate, and it forces huge corporations to pivot and adapt to this whole new reality.
And on January 9th, we saw two perfect examples. First, Meta. They need a staggering amount of power for their AI ambitions, so they made a huge bet on nuclear power, even calling it essential to securing America's position. And then, at the same time, you have Stellantis, that's the parent company of Jeep and Chrysler, scrapping their popular plug-in hybrids. And why? They said it themselves, because the administration had weakened the fuel economy rules, so there was no longer a real incentive to make them.
You see, these aren't just normal business decisions. They're reactions. From big tech to big auto, companies were reading the writing on the wall. They started placing these massive bets to align their own strategies with this new, more interventionist, more competitive world that the government was building around them.
So, what started as a day of just chaotic, disconnected headlines, from Venezuela to Greenland to Silicon Valley, was really the story of a single, powerful idea taking over. It's the story of a newly assertive American playbook designed for a world of intense competition. And it leaves us with one really critical question to think about. In the end, what is the true price of that playbook, both for the world and for us here at home?